Hello and welcome to the third round of the Power Maxed Mini Challenge, coming from the hallowed circuit of Silverstone. At 3.6 miles, this is the longest track on the calendar, and it's a good thing because all three classes are racing simultaneously. Now, it might be dry at the moment. Yesterday, it all got off to a rather soggy start.
Well, to the surprise of absolutely nobody, a midsummer event held on the Silverstone Grand Prix circuit started in absolutely teeming rain and a very wet and drizzly day. This is how they qualified then, with Lawrence Davey in pole position from David Grady, then Lee Patterson and Harry Volkard, with Charlie Butler-Henderson completing the top six. Amongst the JCW class runners was Urka Lindstedt, who took pole from Neil Newstead, Hamish Brandon and Kevin O'Connor. And it was Ricky Page, the four of the Cooper cars, from Nathan Harrison, Max Bladen and John Attard, with Henry Neal in fifth. A gigantic field of cars, all three classes racing together here on the Silverstone Grand Prix circuit. We're in car with Charlie Butler-Henderson as the lights go out and they scrabble for grip. It's a very good start from the red car of Lee Patterson, but it's David Grady, the silver 61 machine, who leads into Copse Corner from Lawrence Davey. And then Lee Patterson were in car with Davey, heading out at Copse on towards Maggots and Beckett's. And already Grady taking a slight defensive line. It's Grady who's really the driver who's having to explore where the grip is. He runs a little bit wide, he runs very wide through Beckett's, kicks up some mud and muck. It throws him immediately into the clutches of his F56 class rival Lawrence Davey, as Davey draws alongside David Grady as the pair of them head on to the hangar straight for the first time. Meanwhile, Neil Newstead, Hamish Brandon and Urka Lindstedt pretty much conjoined in the JCWs, and it's Ricky Page ready to the four of the Cooper class. Somehow they are all cleanly through and arriving into Village for the first time. Quite a few of them flicking it slightly sideways. Luke Reed just ahead of Charlie Butler-Henderson. We ride in car Butler-Henderson now as he gets clobbered from the side. Goodbye left-hand rear-view mirror. Butler-Henderson trying to accelerate on his way, but he gets onto the slippery stuff again. Really frustrating for Charlie Butler-Henderson, already won races this year, but he is shuffled somewhere down the order. The fight then at the head of the field. David Grady has been dispatched as Lee Patterson looks to the inside of Lawrence Davey at Stowe Corner. Davey, though, finding the traction on the wet line to the outside. Lee Patterson, the more conventional racing line to the inside, not giving him the propulsion that he requires to find his way past. So the pair of them on the brakes through Vale and then around Club, and Davey slightly offline, clips a puddle, and that opens the door to Lee Patterson as Lee Patterson moves in to the lead of the race. Now, can he break clear from both Davey and David Grady? In car with Urka Lindstedt, he is right to the forefront of the battle amongst the JCW class runners. There is Hamish Brandon. Just in front of us we can see Neil Newstead, the class leader, as Brandon goes around the outside of Lindstedt at Stowe Corner. Really treacherous conditions for these drivers. Visibility something of a premium. It's a great drive at the moment in third place from Luke Reed. He is steadily scything up through the field as Harry Volkard and Ryan Rode do battle into the loop. Rode the white car, Volkard the predominantly yellow Power Maxed back car, as they head through Atrium to Wellington straight behind. Someone going very sideways, that's Charlie Butler-Henderson. We go in car for his accident as he clobbers the Armco barrier. Fortunately, just catching the glancing blow rather than the more blunt and direct impact, but essentially Butler-Henderson's race is, to all intents and purposes, run. He may well be able to recover as Ryan Rode carving his way past David Grady. Grady, after that very strong start to the race, now just beginning to fade and slip down the order a little as the cars kick through the spray and proceed onwards towards Copse Corner. And Luke Reed makes a slight mistake and goes straight on at Copse, so Luke Reed in trouble and possibly into the gravel trap. Another driver getting bogged down, that's Max Lever in the Cooper class. He's busy fighting with Martin Paul, and with pockets of standing water around the circuit, it means if the drivers run off line, like Max Lever there, they really do get suddenly slowed. In the Cooper class, it is Ricky Page who leads the way. So there is Nathan Harrison, who's trying to chase down Page. Henry Neal showing strongly as well. He is busy fighting with Max Bladen. Neal possibly be taking 1 or 2 tips from his British Touring Car Championship champion father, Matt, as Neil Newstead leads JCW class. Hamish Brandon completely sideways into Beckett, but he holds on to second place in the class from Urke Lindstedt, because really half the challenge here is just keeping the cars on track. So down the hangar straight, Neil Newstead from Hamish Brandon. Then it's the Finnish driver, Urke Lindstedt. Good battle this amongst the JCW runners. Here is our Cooper class leader, Ricky Page, and Page, somewhat unusually for the Cooper class, has actually got a reasonably comfortable advantage over Nathan Harrison, which I think is an indication really of just how treacherous and difficult these conditions are to master back in car with Lawrence Davey, because the fight at the very front of the field amongst the F56 cars has never really settled down. Lawrence Davey staying right in pursuit of Lee Patterson as we head towards the closing stages of the race. Just a handful of corners remaining, and Patterson cannot afford to make even the tiniest error. They're getting in and amongst some of the traffic as well, as along the Wellington Straight back in car with Lawrence Davey, their way past one of the cars in the Cooper class before onto the braking zone for Brooklands. Lawrence Davey looks to apply the pressure to Lee Patterson. Patterson has got a little bit of traffic as well ahead of him that he will probably have to deal with heading into Luffield. He gets all boxed up. In fact, he very astutely responds, just pushes Lawrence Davey out wide to make sure that Patterson doesn't get unduly delayed. It's John Attard whom they are lapping, as now they accelerate through. This should be to take the checker flag, and Lee Patterson, that late defensive driving, but he has done enough. He takes the win from Lawrence Davey. A great drive from both of them, really close, competitive and clean racing in very, very difficult weather conditions. What about the JCW class? Well, that is going to go all the way to the flag as well, because Neil Newstead has got about half a car length lead over Hamish Brandon, no more than that, as we head around Luffield and onward towards Woodcote for the final time. Neil Newstead takes the win in the JCW class from Hamish Brandon and Urke Lindstedt. Then what about the Cooper class, as Newstead celebrates Ricky Page, who was in command when we last saw him. Indeed, it's still Ricky Page who leads the way. Ricky always goes well on the Silverstone Grand Prix circuit, whatever the weather, and this race absolutely no exception to that, as he accelerates out of Luffield for the final time and heads on to score victory in the Cooper class in a treacherous first race of the weekend for the Power Maxed Mini Challenge. So look then at the results, and in the F56 class, Patterson wins it from Lawrence Davey, William Phillips, Ryan Rode and David Grady. Charlie Butler Henson recovering to 10th. For the JCW cars, it was Neil Newstead from Hamish Brandon and Urke Lindstedt. Alan Taylor in 4th from Keith Issat. And then the Cooper class, Ricky Page winning it, with Nathan Harrison and Max Bladen completing the podium.
Silverstone is a technical circuit at the best of times, but as you've just seen, it was an even bigger test for the drivers in yesterday's weather conditions.
Surprised how bad it was, to be honest. I'm glad we were at the front. Luckily me and Lawrence managed to pull away quite nicely. I think we were about 8 seconds off. Third, sorry, was about 8 seconds off us, and a nice battle towards the end. Banged in a few quick laps in the middle of the race, and I thought I had it under control, but just wore my tyres out, and at the end I was holding off for dear life.
There was basically zero visibility, especially when you're in the pack. The amount of spray that was coming off the cars, you're just looking and hunting for a pair of brake lights ahead of you. So it was good fun. It was a bit of a challenge. Certainly these cars do handle like rear-wheel drive in the wet, which makes it all fun, so I can't complain. But yeah, we came home in third place, which the only reason really is just consistency, just stayed consistent throughout the race, so I can't complain.
It was horrible, to be honest with you. None of us have really driven the cars in the wet either this year, so it was a bit of a test session, even though we were qualifying. I got taken out on lap 1 after getting a really good start up into 4th, and then went off on my own due to the sheer lack of grip that the circuit was giving us, really. Escaped the barriers from steering left, right, breathing in and out, trying to do everything possible to save the massive accident that I could have had, and then clawed my way up to pretty much get the best of what was a bad situation, which was 3rd fastest lap and finishing 10th just to get points. Points make prizes, as you very well know.
Probably one of the worst races in terms of weather conditions I've had since my not-kill days, so perhaps that stood me in good stead. So it was. I enjoy the wet conditions. It's tricky, you can't see anything, but it's a hell of a buzz, so it was a good fun race.
The first couple of laps were very difficult. I mean, visibility was the only reason I knew there was an apex coming was because I saw the left-hand curb coming up, and I thought it was here somewhere. But yeah, it was hard the first couple of laps, but once it spread out a little bit and we had some visibility back, I loved the conditions. If I'm honest, I know a lot of the guys don't, but I loved it. The Coopers are so responsive to everything in those weather conditions. You can almost drift it around the corners. It's fantastic.
What a difference 24 hours makes. Join us at Silverstone after the break for a much drier second race in the Power Max Mini Challenge.